Hey guys, I'm Max Gannerton. I'm a sports physiotherapist, and if you want to find more about me, then you go to my website www.thenaturalorder.co.uk, or you can find me through Instagram at The Natural Order Lifestyle. Well, today I thought we'd talk about a really good lower limb exercise called a hip thruster. Hip thrusters, when I come into the game probably 20 years ago, they weren't as big. They weren't something that was being utilised as much as they are today, and you'll see a lot of people using these. I think one reality is true is that a lot of people, particularly girls, actually have really started to push into the S&C scene, which I think is absolutely fantastic. I think there's been a lot of misconceptions that I can't do this stuff because I'm going to get too bulky. It's just not true. There's some really good strength gains to be made from this. It doesn't matter what your physique is or your figure. This is a really important strength building stuff, and that's what you should look at it like. You've got to be really altering your different training sets and reps and volume to really distort your particular body shape into a certain direction. Whether you want it or not, you're gonna have to work very hard to acquire it or not acquire it. So don't worry about that. But just as a movement, this is an absolute cracker. It's really a glute movement. It's going to incorporate a lot of your lower limb. You're going to balance something across your pelvis. So of course, then you're going to find that you're going to have to use other muscles like your hamstrings and so on, your core and your upper limb. But fundamentally, it's a glute exercise. You need a bench. This is a standard weight bench. A lot of people do things like dumbbell presses, stuff like that on it. This is just a normal small bench, so it's nothing that's too kind of hectic. If you haven't got this at home, do not fret. It's so easy to reproduce. So you can find yourself the sofa, get your arms up onto there. It can be a low bench and maybe a bench that sits out in your garden, something like that. And you can make it. A lot of people getting creative with things like pallets. You can easily knock yourself up quite a sensible box out or something like that. But fortunately, I've got a bench handy. In terms of the movement, and then what we're going to do is we're going to have to figure out our arm position. A lot of people get way too narrow on this. It bunches them up and it's kind of hard to do. You've got to relax and spread your arms out. I'm quite long in the arm, so my arms are going to be quite a long way off, but you want your elbows on the bench. You'd have maybe a bar in here, but if not, if you're just doing this with a body weight, then you're going to kind of just have nothing in your hands. And you're going to rest on your shoulder blades. So that's really important. A lot of people won't rest on there, but really you should be taking all your body weight onto your shoulder blades. Then you can have your arms on here. And what you're going to do is you're going to thrust your pelvis up and down. So this is where the glute becomes really important. This is hip extension. So it's really important movement for your glutes. It's one of the primary movements of your glute max. So we're going to just thrust up and down and really work hard through there. I'm doing it with double legs. So just so you can see what my legs are doing, my legs would be in this position here on the floor. But you can do this with a single leg. It's not very easy if you've got lots of weights on there. So actually, something like a single leg with a body weight is really good. And I'm a massive fan of doing unilateral work. I think it's just super effective for making you functional. And it's really easy to objectively measure. You can say, look, on a leg that I traditionally favour, sometimes call my good side, maybe you are cracking out a decent amounts of reps on that, even on your body weight, 20, 30 reps. And I'm not going to talk about the specific training systems that relates to, but just in terms of volume to see what your capacity is. But if you're doing, 30 on one side and 10 on another, that's an imbalance and that's going to cause you problems down the line. So try and correct that stuff. So if you're doing single leg, one leg will be up, one will be on the floor. You come down to the same position and you're just going to thrust up and down, single leg, really effective to get some strength in there. It's really hard work. You could have different things. So I've got a range of kit here. You could have a med ball, you could have a plate on your pelvis. So this is a rogue plate. This is about 10 kgs. I'm going to lay that onto my pelvis here. And I'm going to thrust up and down, and it needs to sit in the crease of your pelvis. If you do this with an Olympic bar, and that will be a different video, but you'll need a foam pad on that to pad your pelvis. It sits right on the front of your pelvis, on your pubic bone, so it's really uncomfortable. So you'll see people often at gyms with a foam square sitting beneath that, or a big round circular pad, so that's effective. Have a go, super effective as a strength building exercise, particularly in the glutes, and one that I really recommend for getting you nice and strong in the lower limb. I'll see you soon.